Guys, welcome back to Strong Successful Male. So for today, I'm going to go over this great story that was sent from a subscriber, personal email. This is from a guy, he's in his 50s, and he shares his story from like 30 years ago when he was about 18 and going in the military for the first time. And our guy sharing this story was the classic, clueless, nice guy. Relationship guy, the type of guy that hung out with girls instead of dudes, the type of guy that would listen to all their problems, learn how to behave around women and all that from other women or movies. And as you can imagine, it was just one mess after the other. And our guy, like so many of you, had his heart broken big time by this gal when he was in the military. And you're going to see how that completely changed him. And our guy goes from the guy you want to smack to being a guy you want to hang out with and go picking up broads with. I kid you not. And this is a great, great story for a lot of you guys out there that have been just like him, or you're like him right now. And believe me, you're going to, many times early on, want to smack the hell out of him. But many of us were there. Many of us did what he did, the nice guy crap, and you're going to see. But our guy eventually is reborn. He is a phoenix. And ho, does he have great payback on the ones that did him wrong. Let me tell you, and now, here you are in the present day, his life is great, and let me tell you, the main girl that does him wrong, well, you're going to find out a little about her. So sit back, and by the way, gentlemen, as you can see, this is longer. This is a part one. It's a two-part series. This is part one, and then I'll cover part two a couple hours later, because I'm not doing this all one thing, because it's too fucking hot here. So enjoy this one, and then don't leave, because believe me, he's going to be doing a lot of simping. It's going to make you crazy, but no. Listen to it. Drink beer, drink alcohol if you have to get through it, and you'll definitely enjoy how this thing eventually goes. It says, "Good day, SSM. I hope this email finds you in good health. Your channel serves as a beacon of light for many out there. We appreciate your forum and everything that you do. Keep up the good work, sir." Well, guys, I appreciate you guys showing up every day watching my videos. I was inspired to send you my story by the many stories you have shared. I hope it helps someone out there who may find themselves in a similar situation. No matter the era, this story applies. The names have been changed for privacy. Also, please don't share my email address. These events occurred in the late 80s and early 90s during my time in the military. Guys, I've said this before, and I'll say it again. I will never, ever share your personal information, your email addresses, anything about you. But I do ask, when you write a story, guys, it's advisable that you just change the names of the people involved. Don't specifically say where you work or a specific town where you live. Change the names of those things, but in regards to email addresses, no. Your secret is safe with me. Okay, that being said, you can call me Geo. Okay, good to meet you, Geo. My story began when I was 10 years old. I moved to the States with my mom from my home country. We moved to Florida and lived in the inner city. I immediately started off with three major obstacles to overcome. The first was my language barrier, followed by my weight. I was a real butterball. And lastly, I was shy, lacked confidence, and behaved awkwardly around girls. Well, if you couldn't speak the language, that could be obviously make you shy, make things difficult. If you were overweight, that'll definitely make you shy and insecure. The good thing is, guys, when you grow up, you have growth spurts and stuff like that. That can definitely help spread out the weight, if you will, as well as when you're young, your metabolism's high, and you can do something about it. I was bullied a lot in my early childhood until I learned to defend myself both physically and verbally. I was not popular and therefore was never invited to parties or social gatherings. This stunted my growth socially, so I relied on my rom-coms and movies to teach me about girls. Oh, God. Yep. That happens to so many guys. That's the worst place to go. You know, the interesting thing is, the ones that teach you about the girls are the douchebags that were no doubt picking on you. That's the unfortunate reality. Well, the rom-coms and movies are all a bunch of bullshit. Yes, I grew up believing in the sugar and spice and everything nice deception. I believed the fairy tales where the bumbling goof perseveres and gets the girl. Smack! Smack the younger you. No, and I obviously know you know that that's not how it works. Over time, I became a loyal friend who the girls confided in. My female friends would vent to me about the Chads and Tyrones that they dated and the mistreatment they endured by them. You were that guy, and you know what, guys? There were times in my early life I was that guy too. Because I figured, like this guy did, okay, so if I could get enough friends that were girls around me, eventually I'd have my shot. Or maybe they could introduce me to one of their good-looking friends or something like that. How often do you think that worked? There were moments when, in a moment of weakness, the girl would, I'd get a little fun, but by and large, it didn't last very long. You don't be the guy they go to talked about all the problems with, because you're nothing but their shrink, and you're wasting your time and all that, you know? These same girls would then always run back to their bad boys time after time. I eventually gave up on advising and simply told them what they wanted to hear. I was always friend zoned and eventually got used to it. Same crap happened to me, man. I learned the hard way. The girls would tell me what a great guy I was and why couldn't they find someone like me. Yep, I was told, hand to God, guys, many times, that I'm the guy that every girl would want to marry. Me. Back then in high school and in college. Happened so many fucking times. Do you think any of those girls got naked for me? Nope. Well, no, one did. One did. She was my friend. She was with the bad boys, and she tried me out for something different. I was happy to oblige, but the problem was I then fell in love with her, and guess what? She got bored, went back to the bad boys. That hurt, but I learned. Funny how I was never their choice. My freshman year in high school, I was fed up with the weight, so I began weight training and exercising. Good for you. Take action. By the time my senior year rolled around, I stood 5'8" and weighed 170 pounds. I still held out hope that my loyalty would be rewarded, much like the romance movies that I watched. Smack! God's sakes, man. After all, the girls told me similar lines to the ones in the movies and TV. My high school life finished without my rom-com ending. Yeah, and if you stick on that path, it will always end without your rom-com ending. Movies are bullshit, guys. They sell dreams. That's what it's all about. The books, the movies, and selling dreams. After high school, I joined the military and left for boot camp. Thank you for your service, brother. My duty station was in the Pacific Northwest, so off I was to the far end of the country. My first 4 months were uneventful as I adapted to the weather and tried to get over the issue I had around girls. I went on a handful of dates, but all led nowhere. Looks were not my problem. It was a lack of game, self-esteem, and the ability to converse with females that doomed me. It seemed like the hotter the girl, the more tongue-tied I became. Again, get in line. Absolute majority of guys out there, and don't be ashamed of this, the hotter the chick, the more, you don't know what the fuck to say. Or you say stupid ass shit. Or that inner nice guy just comes right out. That accommodating nice guy. And notice, guys, he said he moved across the country from Florida to the Pacific Northwest, same problem. So it wasn't the girls, it was him. It's how he was behaving, how he was acting, how he was carrying himself. The proof is that women are women wherever you are, and they are going to respond to accordingly what you put out there. So the day that would forever change my life came when I was CQ duty. CQ is basically guard duty on the barracks and is done on a rotation. It was around midday when Jen and Maya walked in. Jen was a tall, slender blonde with blue eyes. She was a solid 9. Maya was a curvy brunette with brown eyes and a great rack. She was a solid 8. I'd take Maya. I would go down a notch I'd go from a 9 to an 8 purely to have a curvy brunette with big tits. But that's me. I was immediately smitten by Maya. Jen went upstairs to visit a fellow soldier, but Maya stayed behind. We both talked for about 45 minutes until Jen returned. They both left, and I spent the rest of the day thinking about her. Of course you did. You think the bad boys would be spending their day thinking about this chick? No, because they're used to that. Because they got 10 other chicks they're doing. That night I received a call at the CQ desk from Maya. Oh my God, you probably practically came in your pants. A girl called me. Ugh. We talked briefly and made plans to meet up the next day. The next day, Jen dropped Maya off, and we spent a few hours talking and getting to know each other. I learned that Maya and Jen were roommates. They lived together in a trailer located on the land belonging to Jen's parents. I'm not even going to touch that one. Also, Maya didn't own a car and relied on Jen for transportation. Oh, let me guess, you're now going to become her chauffeur. Like me, they both were almost a year removed from high school. We hit it off and soon began dating. The first 2 months were a whirlwind romance for me. I thought I finally found the girl of my dreams. Smack! Snap out of it, dude. I saved my money and bought a car from a fellow GI that was getting ready to go to Korea. I taught Maya to drive stick shift, and we finally referred to the car as my hoopty in honor of Sir Mix-a-Lot. Our transportation problem was solved. I even let her use my car to get to go to and from work. So, well, I gotta say this, dude. If you actually taught her to drive on a stick shift, and you were even speaking to each other after that, I'm impressed. Learning to drive on an automatic, I mean, goddamn, going back 30 years here, I started learning. Yeah, the spring of 1994, I was learning to drive with my dad, and that was hard enough. And then in 96, I bought a truck, and he was teaching me how to drive stick shift in the truck, and I've been driving for 2 years. Holy shit, I was ready for my dad to throw me out the freaking window. Around that time, I met Angie and Lana. They started coming around the barracks a lot. Apparently, Angie was infatuated with a soldier named Curtis. To Curtis, Angie was nothing more than a plaything to use and manipulate. Well, then there's probably a reason for that. I also found out that the girls were best friends in high school but grew apart after graduation. Now, thanks to me, they reconnected and began hanging out. Angie quickly befriended me, and I soon found myself reprising my role of confidant. Smack! There you go. Can't help yourself. How did it work out? Now, I know you were dating Maya, so you're getting some pussy. I'm assuming you were. But your nice guy ways are, here you go, coming to the surface again. Here's the thing, guys. When you behave in a certain way your whole life, it is very hard to switch off completely, to go cold turkey in your ways. They're going to come back and forth, so you got to be careful. I soon began listening to Angie's complaints about Curtis. I, of course, obliged, since making my girl happy was my top priority. Smack! So you're going to waste your valuable time listening, being her fucking Dr. Phil, being her therapist, listening to all the bullshit. I soon began noticing small changes in Maya, such as acting distant, decreasing phone calls to me, even our sex life decreased. I confided in Angie, who assured me this was a false and Maya would snap out of it. Was a phase and Maya would snap out of it. See, guys, this is decades ago, and Maya is behaving the same exact way. What happens in these stories when all of a sudden she's less attentive, calls you less? Back in those days, they didn't have texting, but nowadays text you less enthusiastic to see you. The sex came to a screeching halt, or she was less giving in the bedroom. You know what's going on behind the scenes, that's going on. And this guy's just reinforcing his nice guy ways. Angie told me to simply just keep being the good, attentive boyfriend. Well, there's nothing wrong with being good to your girl, as long as it's reciprocated, and you're not there's being good to her, and there's being putting her on a pedestal and being this kiss-ass nice guy. And a lot of you guys know the difference. A week later, the host skeeters, as I later nicknamed them, with Maya being D'Artagnan, came by the barracks en route to a girls' night. Let's see. Late teenage gals, 19, 20 years old, maybe 21 at this point, going on girls' night in their prime. Gee, what could go wrong? The four of them were dressed to the nine. Maya was wearing thigh-high boots and a form-fitted dress that hugged her curves and accentuated her massive cleavage. And that, my friend, is when you should have made it late. If this was your girlfriend at this point, an exclusive relationship, you should have made abundantly clear, nope. You're not going to go out there dressing and behaving and acting like you're single. Not with me. And if you're not cool with that, that's okay. We don't have to date. That's what you should have done. Now, how many guys out there, gentlemen, do you think have the balls to ever say that? Not many. But you know who would say that? The bad boys. And you know why the bad boys would say that? Because they don't give a shit. If the girl doesn't like it, see ya. I'll be banging your best friend in 3 days. You may think the bad boys are douchebags, and they usually are, but you know what? They know how to handle women. So let's see how this whole thing works out. I was really pissed at the sight of it, but I tried to keep my emotions in check. So you're mad about it, but you didn't want to make her mad. After all, I didn't want to come across as an insecure, controlling boyfriend. Who cares if you did? At least, that's what my female friends always told me to avoid being. Yeah, what happens when you take the advice about women, right? So, I simply smiled and told her to have a great night. Oh, I'm sure she's going to, my friend. I later learned that in the parking lot, Angie asked Curtis what he thought of their outfits. He replied they looked like hoes and told Maya he couldn't believe I let her go out like that. This dude was more alpha than her own boyfriend. There you go. The next day, Maya called me and love-bombed me. She told me how much she loved me and wished I'd been there with her the night before, even though I was not invited. But accomplished what I was meant to do. I was ecstatic, my girl was back, and our relationship was back on track. Yeah, when they're love-bombing you guys, there's trouble. Angie was right. It was a phase, and my self-control and not coming across as insecure or controlling worked. Yeah, let's see about that. Unfortunately, a few days later, Maya returned to being distant. After a couple of weeks of this behavior, I grew frustrated and vented my anger to Angie. Oh, now you're going to go to Angie to complain about your girlfriend. No, you should have been a fucking man and handled your girlfriend on your own. Now, I know you were much younger, and I know you were 19, 20, 21 years old and going to behave like a bunch of 19, 20, 21-year-olds. And I'm coming from the perspective of a grown-ass 46-year-old, but still, I got to say it. After listening to me vent, probably while you're venting, this Angie chick is probably like, oh my God, this guy's a pussy. Change your tampons. Jesus. After listening to me vent, Angie dropped a bomb on me. She made me promise not to say anything to Maya as she didn't want to affect their friendship. Oh, here we go about girls being able to keep a secret. I, of course, agreed to Angie's request. Angie then told me that a few weeks back, Maya ran into her ex-boyfriend, Angel, at her job. Now her change in behavior made sense to me. I knew about Angel from Maya. Early in our relationship, she told me about the relationship. Maya accused him of messing her head up. He allegedly cheated on her several times and dumped her high and dry. Well, what happens when guys reject women and dump them or cheat on them? They usually when they reject them, they usually become obsessed with them or they want to become, a nightmare to the guy. In this case, she got dumped and cheated on. He's the bad boy. What usually happens? They chase after them. On the same breath, she also exclaimed how he was the best looking guy she ever dated. I'd be like, well, thanks, bitch. I was at a loss for words at this point. How could she even entertain him after all he did? That day I made my mission to win my girl back. Smack! That's the problem that gets you in the first place, this win the girl attitude. You don't have to win shit. Notice the bad boys don't go running around trying to win girls. They just come and they chase after them. After all, I was the good guy in the story. There you go about these fucking stories again from movies and books. I did everything right by her. Angie assured me that she was in my corner and would not allow anyone to come between me and Maya. She claimed I was the best boyfriend Maya ever had, so I doubled down on affection, validation, and romantic gestures. I was going to win in the end because good guys win in the end. Smack! Honest to Christ, dude. I know you know now this is the wrong way to go. And by the way, gentlemen, maybe some of you feel inclined to leave. Don't leave. The story's going to end well. Trust me. Have my word. A week and a half later, while heading to WrestleMania pay-per-view, I got a gut feeling and asked my friend to stop by Maya's job as it was on the way. Upon arriving, I noticed my car was missing from the parking lot. Yeah, by the way, this was your car and you're letting her drive it all the time. Why do you think she was dating you? A vehicle. I went to her job and found out that Maya was off that night even though she told me she was working. I was angry and wanted to get my car back. My friend asked if I knew where she could be. You should never have been letting her use your car, but you were the accommodating nice guy that was going to win her back and be so good to her and validation and all that bullshit, even though she's treating you like crap. I thought of Angel immediately and remembered Angie telling me the name of location of his unit's barracks. Finding out Angie knew all this, but I, of course, was clueless. We drove around for several minutes before stopping for directions. While talking to someone, I saw my car pull up to a stoplight no more than 20 yards away. I cannot get it through a Here we go. No, I'm not going to edit that out, guys. Almost every time I film a video, here come the sirens. Well, I hope somebody's okay, because that fire truck's going pretty fast. I saw my car pull up to a stoplight no more than 20 yards away. I walked toward her waving my arms. The light quickly changed and she hightailed it out of there. She's like, oh shit, there he is. We gave chase, but in the excitement, we ran a stop sign and where we were pulled over. So you're in your friend's car chasing after her, and you get pulled over. After receiving a ticket, we were back on our way. We figured that she would either be home or return to her job. Her job was near, so we headed back. When we arrived, I found her sitting in the parking lot. I drove her home with the entire ride being silent, except for her denying that she deceived me about working and simply alleged it was a mistake. Bullshit. She knows what she's doing. She's hooking up with Angel again. She claimed to have gone looking for Jen at the base and denied seeing me at the light. That night we broke up unofficially. Honestly, it's the best thing could ever happen to you. The next day, Angie told me Maya called her crying and lamenting our breakup. Oh, boo-hoo. Maya denied all my accusations and professed her innocence. The blue pill simp in me was not ready to give up on us and used this as justification to get back together. Smack! You were so close. I convinced myself that this was her wake-up call. She finally realized what she was losing. The plot was playing out like the rom-coms I grew up watching. A couple days later, we talked and got back together. Our relationship was now on life support. We were just going through the motions. See, guys, a lot of us just have to go through so much pain and hurt and humiliation and all the other crap you can think of until we finally wake up. And our guy will wake up. 2 weeks later, while hanging around the barracks around 11 p.m., I received a call from Maya, who sounded intoxicated and told me she was at a party with Jen. Oh, great. Girls' night. I told her that I didn't like her being at a party drunk and was coming to pick her up. She refused, which caused us to argue. After a couple minutes of going nowhere, Maya hung up the call on me. That night, I drank a 6-pack of beer and wrote her a letter. I wrote out my feelings. My heart was open book for her to see. Oh, God. Don't drink and write, guys. I told her my plans to re-enlist to be together. How I was saving to get an apartment together so we could take our relationship to the next level. I can imagine her reading this, being like, oh my God, I treat this guy like shit. I deal with this, and he's still coming back for more. After all, I was told how girls appreciate honesty and wanted their boyfriends to express their emotions. So here I was trying to save my relationship and keep the woman I love. Tell me, friend, was she doing anything to save the relationship? Was she doing anything to win you back, to fight for you? No. This is a one-sided situation. She knows she has all the power. I'm sure you probably told her in the early days of dating how she was your first girlfriend, how girls never liked you and all that. And so immediately she's like, phew, he's not a catch. Right? I'm sure you did that. You didn't mention that in the story, but I'm sure you did. And now you're doing all this bullshit to win her back? She's a fucking lowlife. The next morning, I drove to Jen's house. When I arrived, I noticed her car in the driveway. I knocked on the door repeatedly, but I got no response. As I was getting ready to leave, I saw a dark-colored Cutlass Supreme drive up the road and stop at the end of the driveway. I saw 2 men proudly wearing gang colors in the front seat. The passenger got out and popped his seat up. Out the back, a third gang dude climbed out, followed by Jen and Maya, with Maya wearing her now favorite fitted dress. So she's hanging out with a bunch of gang guys. A bunch of bad boys. Meanwhile, you are writing your letter to her and how you want to take it to the next level and win her back. She's about to have a bunch of gang guys. I'm sorry, dude. I really am, but this is how they operate. And I could have told you the second you met her, with her living in the trailer park at 19 years old, and I know there are guys out here that live in trailers, and you do because you want to, but usually there's a reason they call the girls trailer trash. Jen walked past me and went to bed. Maya asked me in. I immediately gave her the 3-page letter which she read. After she dropped, you see her getting out of the car drunk in her short skirt with these freaking gang guys, and you're not giving her the letter? What the fuck, dude? My hand is tired from smacking you. When she finished reading, she simply stared at me with a blank expression. She's probably like, what the fuck, dude? This took me by surprise, as it was the last thing that I expected from her. Maya told me, I'll be right back. Before she left, I took the letter back. I looked her in the eyes and said, you'll never know how much I loved you. Her eyes were now glossy, and she repeated that she would be right back and asked me not to leave. As soon as I left the room, I got my car and drove back to the base. Thank God. I ugly cried the entire ride back. I was angry, embarrassed, humiliated, and disgusted with myself. Something was fucked up. I did everything I'd been told girls wanted in their man. I was faithful and honest. I guess good guys do finish last. I heard that once, but didn't believe it until now. When I arrived in my room, I immediately crashed from exhaustion. And guys, since this is a long-ass video, this is where I'm going to end this part 1. And in part 2, stop yelling at me, part 2, we're going to see where our guy does a 180. See, guys, it takes moments like this utter humiliation and broken heart and everything, where a guy can go one of two ways. He can continue doing the same shit that has gotten him nowhere, or he can rise from the ashes like a phoenix, and his inner asshole, bad boy, motherfucker can come out, and oh, it is entertaining to see and hear about. And we are going to see that in part 2, so stick around a couple hours and you're going to see our guy's metamorphosis and the whole 9 yards. See you then.